what makes this league so far a success?
Um, so I think, maybe more than anything, it's fresh. All right, I think that that's one of the things. It's fresh, it's new, right? The concept of 3-on-3 basketball isn't something that we're unfamiliar with, but it's 3-on-3 full court, which sounds incredibly tiring, but the dimensions of the court are a bit smaller.
Yes.
It's not the 94-50. I think it's like 73, and maybe the same with the 3-point line. All of the demarcations inside the 3-point line, everything's the same. So these women aren't going into training camp hoisting shots, completely thrown off. Um, but yeah, it's exciting. It's a change of pace. It is inherently a different play style. There's this built-in component of space and speed, and how you're able or unable to manipulate space, and then how you're able to kind of defend all of that space that is there to be manipulated. It's really cool. Um, I think what's making it successful is, like you said, yeah, it's player driven, or at least that's a lot of what's being highly touted. It's player driven, it's player founded. All of the ladies have a stake. They have some equity in the company. Like you said, TV deal with Turner. Under Armour is the official apparel group, or company for the league, and they have it's all localized, it's all centralized, it's all kind of in its own little ecosystem down there. At least is that's how it's that's how I take it. And they have the resources, they have the facilities that everyone is now I think being even more vocal about than in times before. They have all of the recovery things that they need there, they have all of the weightlifting things that they need there, they have what their salaries, right? I know the salaries were a huge talking point, and the idea that the average salary in Unrivaled is superior to that of the W, and it's for such a much more truncated period. I think there's a lot that's gone into what has made it an early success. I'd be interested in, as we get in here to the second half of the games and stuff after post the one-on-one, and just like the future for it. If the general public, casual fans, new to basketball fans, whatever, if they continue to give it the level of attention, because at some point there's but so many kind of actions and things that you can do in a 3-on-3 setting. And so gameplay wise, I guess I'll say I hope that that maintains a high level, but it's off to a really, really, I think, highly successful start, more than I think people anticipated.
Yeah, I don't tend to gravitate to 3-on-3 basketball, but I like that it was full court.
Hmm.
So even as somebody who loves international basketball, I don't watch a ton of the international 3-on-3s. Even though you could see it, it's clearly difficult. Anyone who's
Yeah.
played any level of basketball has played 3-on-3 basketball and knows that it's difficult, especially at that level where it's even more fast paced,
Yeah.
and there are shot clocks and there are actual rules that you
Right.
have to abide by, that you can't that you don't have to follow in the park necessarily. You touched on a couple of the business things. CBS Sports noted that the salaries were over 200K, which
Yep.
is a nice little off-season bag.
Yeah.
To not have to go to a foreign country.
Yeah. Off season stateside bag.
Off-season stateside bag, yes.
Right.
Because Kayla McBride, among others, they're going to go back to Europe for a little bit before the
Yeah.
WNBA starts. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's another bag there.
Get how
Also,
you live.
players also split 15% revenue,
Mhm.
which is really interesting. And then obviously there were tournament prizes in, for example, the one-on-one, where Nafisa Collier winning is interesting because she founded the league, but also
Right.
if you watch, it's like, yeah, she probably has the best
No, she
one-on-one
won
game for this tournament.
of the group. Yeah.
Yeah, of the group. So yeah, because we didn't see like Asia Wilson, for example, who I think
Right.
would have been successful. Your thoughts on the actual basketball piece of it and the takeaways coming from it. Like, for example, Aaliyah Edwards performs the way she does in the one-on-one competition. Do you think there's going to be some carryover here into, okay, when she gets back to 5-on-5 basketball, and it's going to be her second year in the W, like,
Right.
is this going to affect her tremendously? And are there going to be any after effects for any of the other players as well?
So I think there's 5-on-5, right? Unrivaled, the main structure of Unrivaled is 3-on-3. And as I said, earlier, the difference in the allotted amount of work withable functional space. 5-on-5, 3-on-3, and then 3-on-3 to 1-on-1, playing within those same parameters, there is now even more, kind of open space to utilize, to get change of direction things, and to use the expanse of like your wingspan and your body and all of these types of things. I think Aaliyah Edwards certainly has the skill set that she was able to display in the 1-on-1 tournament. I think that the adjustment, of course, will be now in how do we take some of those change of direction moves and make them tighter? How do we make them cleaner? How do we make them neater and more centered to the body so that you're able to execute them in what will be inherently now a smaller faction of space? Fee was able to dominate kind of the 1-on-1 tournament the way that she did because Fee, her body control in tight spaces, her body control in 5-on-5 settings, and in the short roll, very small frames where you have to kind of get your feet together off of the pocket pass, get your feet together, comport yourself, decide whether or not you're going to go up, kick it out, or whatever. She just has really, really great body control in a tighter amount of space. And then so you open up her canvas kind of to her. You give a painter more space to kind of create and do her thing. And you'll get what it is that you're going to get. The talent doesn't change. You just give them more space to operate. And so I think, those are the differences, again, between the 5s, the 3s, and then the 1s. The challenge now is, how do you go back into, like I said, the 5-on-5 setting with the W season coming up, if Aaliyah or whomever else is going overseas? The idea, the concept of help side defense now is back. So you don't have all of this. You have the functional space that you're able to handle the ball in. But now you also have all of this backline space to make passes and stuff because you don't have like your help side. So your help side is back. Spaces are just tighter. There's just more congestion. There's more stuff. And now you have to rely on, kind of a neater skill set or a neater presentation of the skill set to get those same types of things off. That's the work. That's the training. That's the skill stuff that like her, Angel, people like even Dejanay to a certain extent, like all of these guys can come away with what it is that they found that they were able to do successfully here. And now how do I repackage it? Trusting my coaches to kind of, reimagine the offense too. But how do I now repackage it to be successful in a more traditional setting?
Comments, questions, always welcome, especially live, but also after the fact, but also live. Eternal, very excited to see us both here. We appreciate that, obviously. I do have another thing that really stood out to me as I'm watching these games. I think people have a general skepticism of what they consider the off-season product of something. So, like, for example, in
Okay.
football, which is not my primary sport in terms
Mhm.
of like sports consumption, but spring football is noticeably way worse of a product than the NFL. And bad football is tough to watch,
Yeah.
especially when it's in like an empty arena, empty stadium, I guess in this case. Here, you're seeing still elite players play in venues that have noise. Like the noise factor helps. It doesn't need to be 20,000
Yeah.
seat arenas or whatever.
Raucous.
Yeah, it
Right.
doesn't need to be that. There just needs to be noise. It needs to sound good on the broadcast, which it does.
Yeah.
And you
Have
have
some
players,
atmosphere.
right, and you have players playing hard. I think this
Yeah.
is why the Olympics works and
Yes.
FIBA just in general. You have players playing hard. You have players who are very, very good, very high level, just playing hard. And I want to ask you, like, not why do you think that is, but from the standpoint of just the competitiveness, like, can you speak to what you're watching? Like, does it feel like they're treating this like with as much importance as they do in the W. Because I really felt it in the one-on-one tournament where I'm like, yo, they don't want to lose. Like, there's not a person here. Like, I'm watching Arike Agumbawale getting pissed off, that there's not much she can do from a size disadvantage, for example.
Yes, against someone like a Skylar, right? Or whomever else. Yeah, the very first week, so I'll touch on the one-on-one tournament in a second, but the very first week of Unrivaled, opening day, I was floored by the level of effort and kind of energy and tenacity that they were giving on. So, I'll say too, right? Debut, opening game, there's always a baseline kind of level of adrenaline. You want to do good, you want to perform well.
Right.
We're opening up this product. But they were like going after it in a way that even really surprised me. I was tweeting about it the entire time. Like Dejanay is leaping over like the first row of chairs. I think Jewel found herself on the scorer's table at some point. I'm like, yo, they are really laying out, but it was so dope to see. And these are women who just, really want to ball, have whatever their own internal, motivating factors are. And again, it's a brand new product. There's all of this talk about, what is it going to look like, this, that, and the third. And they came out and was like, this is what it's going to look like. And immediately my worry was, okay, so it's Friday, Saturday, off Sunday, play Monday, repeat. So Monday to Friday, they're off. And so ideally, or, realistically, you're playing two of these games in this time. Is the turnaround time from Monday to Friday, week to week, going to be enough to kind of keep them healthy, energy levels, sustainability, all of those types of things? I think you're starting to see some of the attrition, some of the just wear, some of it, kind of manifest a bit. There's a bunch of nagging injuries, lower extremity injuries, or what have you. But yeah, man, like I was really taken aback a little bit by how much they were going for. Again, it's the money, it's bragging rights, it's a chance to display. Like you said, it isn't the entirety of the W. Mm-hmm. It isn't all 144, 156 right now, 168 soon come, whatever. But it is a good nucleus. It's a good representation of some of what is the best about the W. Asia's not there, Caitlin's not there, some of these other people aren't there. But like, women here, these women are constantly kind of being inundated with opinions about themselves and what they can and can't do, and how, like, the dude that works at Dollar General can, bust him in whatever setting. So I think anytime they are given the option or the chance to really like put their ish on the table, they're going to. Like TV, stateside, a bag, they have the resources, they have the facilities. So it really makes for the type of product that it has been so far. We'll just see, how it all continues to. And then the one-on-one, like, we had the part is make it, take it. So no, some of the matchups could have been a bit different. I had some sleeper picks, a couple of them panned out, a couple of them didn't. They should have. Rakia could have beat Fee, but we can talk about that another time. But yeah, these women have things to play for.
What do you think the WNBA, if anything, could learn from this experience? And what do you think, from an outside view, the WNBA could potentially just take from this experience, like looking at it, and are there ways to incorporate some of this into whether it's All-Star Weekend, or are there ways to, like, is there going to be an influence on the WNBA coming from Unrivaled, do you think?
I think 1,000,000%. They are not competitors. They are not competing leagues. They don't compete at the same time. They use the same labor force, but they are, different entities. I think the benefit in Unrivaled is that it does have the ability to influence, to tap. If the W is the mothership, if the W is the preeminent women's basketball league in this country, which it is, to see it's like offshoots. You have Unrivaled, you have AU, love AU. Shout out to
Yeah.
Athletes Unlimited
Yeah.
and what they're doing in Nashville. I think there was space to make AU a bit broader before Unrivaled came on. But if you are the mothership of the W and you're watching kind of your little offshoots, doing what it is they're doing, and this one over here, Unrivaled, is all of the girlies there are raving about it. You have no choice kind of but to look at it and see what it is that so many of them are so happy about. The conversation about resources and facilities in the W is an extremely hot one at this time. It's an arms race. You see the organizations that are willing to invest in the holistic care of their athletes, you know, peak and perform at different places. So I think they're able to influence them, that way. Again, just look at what your athletes are willing to do stateside, going full out, kind of whether it's for the bag, for the love of just playing, whatever it is, like, and then maybe put themselves in a position to injure themselves or risk their season with you. I think that there has to be, some I know that there has to be some talking in the C-suite about what it is that we that the W can take back from Unrivaled, and maybe ways it can look itself in the mirror a little bit given the success that's happening down there in Miami.
Also, the competitive salaries, like just from a
Yeah.
business
I mean,
standpoint,
yeah,
like
CBA, right. The new CBA is coming up,
end
or
of the
new CBA
season.
negotiations.
Yeah.
How ardent are we going to be? We let the NBA dictate the TV rights deal, much to some people's chagrin. Some people understood it, and people believe there was space to get even more gains there. So, in this new CBA, really, really, what do the girls want? What's the priorities?
I think if you're at the W, I think what you don't want are, and this is why the next CBA is important, what you want to avoid are players potentially playing in an Unrivaled and then going overseas to get more
Correct.
money.
Correct.
I think that's what you want to avoid. Not that I think this is going to happen, at least with these players involved, but you just never know because there are players who can get like a lot more
Right.
money playing in EuroLeague if they're good enough, or the Euro Cup if they're good enough.
Yep.
Like, and Athletes Unlimited, I guess to a lesser extent, like there are some WNBA players there. There are former WNBA players. I saw that Bria Hartley just had a sick game. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
last week. And I remember being like, damn, could she get a camp invite?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's more of a resurgent type of deal. But I think that's what the WNBA is going to try to avoid with the increase in games. I think that's part of it too. It's like, if you're increasing the games, theoretically you would want to increase the salaries to keep your players from doing other things, because not everyone is like a Kayla Clark or an Aja Wilson where they don't have to play another
Right.
league because they
Right.
have enough of a salary, plus they get a lot more on endorsements
Right.
and sneakers now for Aja Wilson in her case. um yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I also think with the one-on-one aspect of it that's what got me sort of like really, I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch everything here.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing like Aaliyah Edwards beat Breonna Stewart in a shutout, which when you watch it, it's not as dramatically like one-sided.
It's
Yeah,
not. It
it
really isn't.
it's just kind of got like a one-on-one could get away from you, especially when it's not ones and twos, it's twos and threes. And for people who don't know, I should probably read off the rules, but the one-on-one tournament, if you missed it, and if you didn't, you can, I guess, just sit here and listen to me tell you the rules. But it's single elimination, 3-pointer for possession, starts at the center, 7-second shot clock, which I love because one-on-ones
I,
could really drag on if you don't have a shot
I
clock.
thought it was a little too much. I think 10 could have been just fine. I get the 7 pushed it. I think 8 even maybe would have been okay, but
Okay.
they got what they got,
You
and it
think
was okay.
seven? You think seven's a little too okay?
Just a little too much. It
Okay.
got a little chaotic, but that's the thing, and I don't know, a little fatiguey, but that's the point. But keep on.
I kind of think that I like it because it helps you make quick decisions,
I
right?
know.
Like,
I understand the edge. It got it did what it was intended in like
yes.
potential to do.